Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Final Fantasy XIV song reaction. This one is apparently from the soundtrack for Endwalker, which I assume is a DLC. Don't hate me, I don't play the game, but I am interested in hearing the songs, especially after the last one that I heard. I'm like, okay, there's something to be had here. These soundtracks are pretty sick. So this one is apparently called Here Be Lions, and Crosslancer on Patreon was like, here's another one. You like the first one so much, so here we are, and let's go. Alright, off the bat, starting in a completely different vibe than I expected it to be. I was kind of feeling like it was gonna start more orchestral right off the bat, but apparently it's not that at all. I don't know why I had that preconception, but okay. Resetting my brain here. Allowing myself to get into it. That bass is really heavy. Ooh. Ooh, okay. Having a little fun with those fills in between. There is the hi-hat on this one. It's very crispy. In a good way. I like it. It's like breaking through the rest of the drums. It's standing out. I think in general the cymbals are just doing their job really well, cutting through everything. Ooh, got some dissonance on those chords. I love that church choir in there. Really deep, like, gothic. The dissonance that comes from that style of music is really cool. I've always enjoyed it. I am having a little bit of I'm having some difficulties hearing the lyrics in this, actually. The guy's voice is kind of giving me an Ozzy Osbourne thing. This part's... the chords in this one, especially with the backing vocals, are kind of giving me like an 80s mall vibe. I don't entirely know why. It kind of sounds like a commercial. This is a very interesting one. I'll definitely look up the lyrics after I'm done with this and kind of give myself better context of what's being said. I'm hearing all instruments. The voice is kind of compressed in the back. Can never go wrong with an organ in a song, though, I swear. Every song with an organ in it, it's an absolute bop. Underrated. And there it goes. All right. I'm gonna look at the lyrics and I'll be right back. All right, so in my little journey trying to read the lyrics, I did discover that this is not a unique opinion of mine, that the lyrics are hard to hear. A lot of people on multiple forums had the exact same opinion, so there were many translations and like rough guesstimations of what certain words were being said. I think that the ones I was reading were pretty accurate because it's more or less what I heard. It was just hard to make out in the moment. But all in all, like the lyrics just seem to reflect this generalizing of like this scenario happening. There's a bunch of like creatures, be it metaphorical or literal in this context, and like there's a reason for them to be there, a war happening, and they're just going like rip and tear until it's done level of carnage. So like that is pretty simplistic. So there's not really much into that. If there is in the context a little bit more metaphor to that, I would understand why, but it's hard to decipher those metaphors a lot of the time. When I don't know the context it's partaking in, you know, it's like I can only do so much. But all in all, this song wasn't bad. It was definitely unfortunate that there was so much heavy compression and effects on the vocals that it was hard to hear, but you can kind of forgive that when you're getting a vibe from the song. I enjoyed the way that they handled the drums, like I was saying earlier in there. All of the cymbals were like really brought forward, and I like it when those punch through the mix sometimes. Sometimes it's a little distracting, but in this context it really fits. It helps feel those accents and really like digs its teeth in, which works well in the context of the lyrics at very least, so maybe that's a metaphor. But then there are also little things in there, like I mentioned, the organ. I think that that is such a cool instrument. The organ is such a neat instrument and so underutilized in a lot of ways. I feel like it is used a lot for stuff like this that's trying to push that darker flair into the song, which is perfectly fine because, like I had mentioned, the Gothic era of music and church and everything like that, there was a lot of that happening. There's a lot of organ happening, and a lot of these like church choirs and like group Gregorian style choirs. There is something historically about clashing notes, things like the Devil's Third, for example, that does not work well in the human ear as we're used to hearing music. So it's something that is literally named the Devil's Third for a reason. A third interval, or a fifth interval as well, kind of has a clash to it that if you don't use it properly can feel very dissonant, very crusty, and just overall sour. So it's a method that is still utilized to this day, has been used for generations, but for songs like this, having those clash in there really does sell that extra sourness that you want to portray in whatever demons and war they're talking about. It really does help sell that information. But even despite my own personal distastes with this song, mostly in the way that it was mixed together, I feel they could have done that a little bit better. I also believe that there's a reason for that, because when you're playing a game, you're not supposed to be focusing on the lyrics so much, you know, and a lot of it, like I said, is kind of generalized and not really specific to any particular story. So I think that that's why they just don't need to have it in the forefront, so they don't. I do believe that when they make soundtracks like this, they should probably remaster things to balance a little bit better for general listening's purpose, but I get why in the raw context of a game, you would rather have the instruments be brought much more to the forefront and leave the lesser important lyrics underneath all that, so you're not distracting the player, because sometimes that'll happen. But I think I'll digress on that, because otherwise it was a really fun song and it was really well written. It was just the post-production that kind of hindered it. But I am interested in hearing more. This hasn't like soured my opinion of this soundtrack at all. No one song is ever going to speak for the entirety of an album or a collection of music, in my opinion. Everything kind of stands on its own in its own way. So I 100% believe that the Endwalker album as a whole probably has some other hidden gems on there that I just haven't heard yet, and I'm interested in hearing them. But otherwise, if you liked seeing this video and you liked hearing my opinions on things and at least understanding where I'm coming from and hearing my takes, and you want to hear mine on another song from anything, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below and I will do my best to get to it. And other than that, if you want to follow me and support me, you know how to do that, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!